everything New Orleans Pelicans from a fan's perspective. "27 points, 5 rebounds." Welcome to Pelicans Flock Report, where I give you everything New Orleans Pelicans from a fan's perspective. I'm your host, D. Broussard. First things first, man. Before I get started, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss it. The all-new Pelicans Flock Report after each and every game, and even on off game days. Make sure y'all tune in, man. Shout out to everybody that's already subscribed out there, man. Appreciate y'all joining the Pelicans Flock. And as long as y'all keep subscribing, I'm going to keep on bringing these videos to y'all. So, yeah, man, I really appreciate y'all out there. Today, one of the most important topics that's been going around pretty much all season long, and I've stated my opinion on this conversation multiple times, but why trading Zion Williamson might be the Pelicans' best move. Now, I read an article from Chris Lambert for Pelican Debrief, where he basically went into detail talking about how the Pelicans trading Zion would make a lot of sense as far as our growth as a team, us getting better as a team, while trading Zion would make a whole lot of sense. And first off, the main reason is Derek Queen. Now, as we know, we traded away our 2026 pick to bring in Derek Queen. Derek has had a stellar rookie campaign this season, and he's going to continue to grow. He's going to continue to develop. He's going to continue to get better. And this is where it comes in that maybe trading Zion would be beneficial to Derek Queen and his development going forward, because we've already seen that Derek Queen and Zion Williamson, they can't play together. You don't even see James Borrego playing them together during the game. Now, even though we've been winning games and such, you don't really see Derek Queen and Zion Williamson on the floor together, because Derek Queen needs space to operate, because, Derek Queen likes to handle the ball. He likes to penetrate the lane. He has great footwork and things of that nature. So Derek Queen needs space to operate. Zion needs space to operate, because Zion likes to get to the rim. So he needs space to operate. So we've already seen that the two can't really play together. Now, James did try placing Derek Queen at the center for a couple games. We've seen that really doesn't work, because it works on the offensive side. I spoke on that as well. It works on the offensive side, but defensively, it doesn't really work, because Derek Queen has a hard time being able to defend the league's traditional centers, who are 7 feet, 6'11", tall, athletic guys. Like, he has a problem defending those type of bigs, especially in the Western Conference. So, that's where Derek Queen playing the center doesn't really work. It works on the offensive side, because Derek is, very shifty and crafty and things of that nature, going up against taller guys. But on the defensive side, it doesn't work, and Derek Queen also is not a good rebounder. He can't really defend that well or protect the rim. So that's where the disadvantage comes in on the defensive end, for, other teams. We can't really defend other teams with Derek Queen playing the center. Now, I've said this several times. I know that Derek Queen is not a natural center. Derek Queen is more of a four, and he needs space to operate. And also, he's gonna have to get better at shooting the ball, which I'm sure that he will. He will get better at shooting the basketball because he's gonna have to add a jump shot to his game, because he's not gonna be able to get to the rim every single time, like Zion does. But Zion is able to do that because Zion is so quick and explosive, and he has a quick first step. So he's left. He's a lefty, so you know he's able to get to the rim a little bit faster and quicker than Derek Queen is. You know, but Derek Queen, he's not able to get to the rim like Zion. So you know, um, like I said, he's a natural four, in my opinion, and I think him playing the four, he's gonna play better. And I've always known that about Derek Queen's game since the beginning of the season. When I saw him play, I was like, man, this kid is a four. Like, he's not a center, he's a four. And he would probably operate way better at the four position. But, Zion plays the four as well. So it's kind of like, how is that gonna work out? And, you know, I feel like, as I said before in a previous video, three uh decisions that the Pelicans need to make. In that video, I talked about the two different timelines. You have the Zion era timeline, and then you have the Derek Queen, Jeremiah Fears timeline, where it's like these are these guys are the future of the Pelicans, and Zion is kind of, I wouldn't say the past, but you can kind of say maybe the past and maybe the future. But those two timelines, it doesn't feel like they're gonna be able to coexist, in my opinion, because you can't play Zion and Derek Queen on the floor together. Which, like I said, we've seen James Borrego not really play them together at times. Just because I think he's witnessing the same thing as well, that it's just not gonna work because they both need space to operate. So, um, and you know, trading Zion would definitely help Derek Queen maximize his potential, especially if he's going to be the main focus of the team, which it kind of starts to seem like Derek Queen is beginning to be the main focus for the Pelicans. And if you're going to make him the main focus, then you might have to move on from the past, which is Zion. Zion was the main focus in the past. The last 7 years, Zion was the focus. But now it seems like the Pelicans are more focused on developing Derek Queen. And we gave away that 2026 pick to bring him in. So it's not like we can just say, hey, we're gonna continue sticking with Zion and move on from Derek Queen. We'll use him to get some draft capital or whatever. You know, to me that would be questionable because it'll be like, well, why did you give up that 2026 pick to bring this guy in if you had no plans on keeping him? That wouldn't really make sense. So, yeah, I just think that was one of the reasons um why it's been talked about for us to move on from Zion. And that was Derek Queen and his development. Because in order for him to fully develop and maximize his potential, I don't think that he's gonna be able to do that with Zion still on the team, especially if they're unable to coexist and play together on the floor at the same time. That's just that's what I read in the article, and it kind of it kind of made sense to me. As much as I hate to say that trading Zion is what we need to do, because as I said before, I'm a huge Zion Williamson fan. I want Zion to be, a Pelican, but when I look at the state of the team and where we are right now currently with this roster and what we have, I don't know if Zion really fits into what we're building. but that's still yet to be seen. I don't know. Maybe they can make it work out and figure it out. I don't know. That's yet to be seen. But as of right now, it just doesn't look like it's gonna work out. It don't. And like I said, I know we're not gonna trade away Derek Queen, but um, now Zion had 27 points in the last game. Zion has been averaging 21.4 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and he's been 58.8% from the field. That's pretty good in my opinion, and it's nothing to take away from Zion because Zion has been playing really well. He's been probably the healthiest we've seen him since he's been in the Pelicans uniform this season. He's played more games than he's played probably in his whole career this season. So I feel like this season is probably one of Zion's, I wouldn't say one, I would say the best season of Zion's NBA career was this season, in my opinion. Um, but trading Zion would possibly bring in some draft capital for the team, bring in more shooting because we definitely need more shooting on the team, and possibly bring in some more young players to add to the younger core with Jeremiah Fierce, Derek Queen, Michael Peavy. These young guys that we brought in. You know, Trading Zion might, you know, allow us to bring in some more young guys to build around, and also bring in some more shooting because we definitely need shooting. We definitely gonna have to have shooting. Like you can't be a successful basketball team in today's NBA without consistent shooting. And it's like I go back to Jordan Poole. Like the Jordan Poole situation didn't work out. We thought he was gonna be the guy to be consistent, be able to shoot for us, but that hasn't worked out. So that's a situation that we're gonna have to move on from. It's not gonna work. It ain't gonna work. We're gonna have to move on from that situation. So we have to try to get more shooting. And with the way that Zion has been playing this season, he may attract a lot of suitors. Other teams who are looking to bring in a guy like Zion who can do what Zion does. It might be some teams that may be looking to bring him in. So, like I said, man, me personally, I don't feel like we should trade Zion. I would say it's a part of me that feels like we shouldn't trade Zion just because, like I said, I'm a fan of Zion. I always been a huge advocate of Zion. Like even when people were saying, you know, he this, he that, I always went to bat for Zion just because I believe in the kid. I believe that he's a generational talent when healthy, and I believe that he has the potential to be great. And I feel like Zion wants to be in New Orleans. Um, and it's kind of like I said about the Brandon Ingram situation when we played the Raptors, in that video, I said that what I got from Brandon Ingram is that Brandon Ingram ultimately wanted to be a Pelican. Yeah, things didn't work out with the contract and such, but I got from watching that game that Brandon Ingram did not want to leave New Orleans. But he I wouldn't say it was forced, but I guess he had to make the best business decision for himself and ultimately, him going to the Raptors, you know, that whole thing came about. And I kind of feel the same way about Zion. I don't feel like Zion wants to be somewhere else. I feel like Zion wants to be a Pelican, or he would have asked out a long time ago. It's just that Zion being a Pelican might not be the best thing for the Pelicans. But I don't know, man. Y'all let me know what y'all feel, man. Let me know what y'all thinking in the comments. Is it time for the Pelicans to move on from Zion Williamson, to get better, to bring in some draft capital, to possibly bring in some young players? Let me know what you guys thinking, man. Should we trade Zion? Should we keep Zion? That's gonna be the huge question mark going into the off season, especially with this type of season that we had this year. Even with Zion being healthy, like we're still uh low in the Western Conference standings. So I don't know, man. We'll see. Um, and ultimately, with the board of governors possibly voting on league expansion, you know, the Pelicans may be headed into the Eastern Conference if the league decides to expand and bring in two more teams, making a count of 32 teams league wide. It might mean that the Pelicans might change conferences. We have been talked about as one of those teams that may have to move to the Eastern Conference along with Minnesota and Memphis as well. So it's a lot of things going on, man. So we'll see what happens. But make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, man. Pelicans Flock Report, where I give you everything New Orleans Pelicans from a fan's perspective. I'm your host, D. Broussard. Until next time, man, I'm out.